I want to know when you're recording so I can give you that
Okay.
Dr. Fauci intro.
All right, here it comes. A couple more seconds.
Okay. 1 second. No recording.
All right, we're good.
How you doing, Dr. Fauci? Welcome to the big show. And anybody who advised you to come talk to me, hit it right on the nail because I speak for the brown and black community. We are honored to have America's doctor on the big show, Dr. Fauci. How you doing today, Dr. Fauci?
I'm fine, Joe. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm really glad to be here.
Okay, Dr. Fauci, we're going to talk about some myths. We're going to talk about some treatments, whatever the case may be. I see a lot of people out in Atlanta. A lot of people are in the clubs. I want to be outside as well, but I know it ain't time yet. I just want to know when is the NBA basketball arena is going to be filled up with people, when I'm going to be able to perform. I even have friends asking me to ask you, when will the strip clubs be safe to go back into, Dr. Fauci?
Well, you know, as I've said, it's going to be a combination, Joe, of if we get, and I'm cautiously optimistic we will, get a safe and effective vaccine by the end of this year, that we will be able to vaccinate people in a safe and effective way into 2021. And if you combine a protection from a vaccine, which even though it's not 100% protection, no vaccine is 100% protective. So you're going to have to combine the protection of a vaccine with some element of public health measures, not necessarily as strict as we're doing now, but some element of that. If we do that, I think by the end, maybe third quarter or end of 2021, we can get back to some degree of normality where you might be able to go to a sports event, you might be able to go to a theater without worrying about getting infected.
That kind of sounded, Dr. Fauci, like, like, will we ever go back to not having to use the mask in crowded places? Because you kind of like gave us a little, like, to go back to almost normalcy. What does that mean? Does it look like the future of concerts and NBAs, we're all going to be in the arena, but we all going to still have to have a mask on even after the vaccine?
I hope not, and I don't think so, Joe. I think if we get enough people over a period of time vaccinated, and we might even need a boost every once in a while, vaccinated against this so that the level of infection is so low in the community that the chance of a person getting infected is extremely low. Unlike what it was like in New York just a few months ago, where, and you're a Bronx guy. I mean, if you live in the Bronx, I mean, that would really be a reasonably high risk of getting infected if you didn't have the public health measures. I think we can put that behind us once we get a good vaccine and the level of infection in the community is very low.
Dr. Fauci, I know you're an expert. You're the expert of experts, the doctor of doctors. I want to know, what role did you take in the AIDS epidemic research? And I know we have treatments for HIV now. Could you tell us what part you partaked in that?
Well, that's what I do. That's my life, Joe. I mean, that's what I've done. I'm the director of the institute that has literally developed all of the drugs together with the pharmaceutical companies that are now essentially saving the lives of individuals every single day, allowing them to get back to really normality. Because when I was taking care of persons with HIV back in the early 80s, almost all of my patients died. We developed drugs through clinical trials, through basic research. Now I see my patients as mostly in clinic just to follow them up and see how they're doing. In addition, I had the privilege of working with President George W. Bush to develop the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, or PEPFAR, which has saved literally 14, 15 million lives, mostly in the developing world, such as sub-Saharan Africa. So my scientific public health and medicine life has been focused and centered around persons with HIV ever since the very first cases were reported in the United States on the West Coast and in New York City.
Dr. Fauci, thank you for everything you've done for everybody in America and around the world. We know you catch COVID in the air, but is there a safe way to have sex without catching COVID-19?
Well, physical contact, Joe, I think, it doesn't matter what it is. When you say sex, is it kind of, that's something that gets.
There's people who casually, have sex, Dr. Fauci, like, to me, I don't see it being safe, but you're the expert,
Yeah. Well, putting sex aside, because sex is one of many ways and you could have close personal contact. So the fact is, practically speaking, Joe, if a person has the SARS coronavirus and you are close enough, which is what happens with sex, the chances are that you can get infected. So it is something that is not a safe thing to do unless you know the person with whom you're having an intimate relationship is negative. And that's, one of the reasons why we're trying to get much more testing available to people who want to feel comfortable about whether or not they happen to be infected or not.
Yeah, that's an excellent answer, Dr. Fauci. Too many people in the brown and black community are saying they don't trust the vaccine. They saying we even have a lack of volunteers from the brown and black community for vaccine trials. They're saying whispers of Tuskegee experiments. How do we avoid the whispers and all the myths you have and have people feel safe to go take this vaccine when it does come out?
Yeah, Joe, that's a great point. And what one needs to do is to look at the science and the data. There are clinical trials right now involving tens of thousands of people to determine whether the vaccine is safe and effective. The best way that the brown and black community can feel comfortable in getting vaccinated when it ultimately gets shown to be safe and effective and is proven is to get involved in the clinical trials, Joe. And the reason I say that is that if only white people get involved in the clinical trials, or 95% white people, and Latinx or brown and black people don't get involved, if a